It's the same old story that never gets tired. Another quarter, another blowout for Apple, and another perfect opportunity to bring in Piper Jaffray's Eugene Munster, one of the most accurate tech analysts on the street, making him a Bloomberg best. Overnight, Gene raised his price target for Apple shares to $607. He's live with us from Minneapolis. Gene, Apple is trading above $400. Excuse me, I can hardly get my head around these numbers in the pre-market. And you know where I'm going with this one. Are we really expected to believe that Apple can gain another 50% in the next 12 months? Clearly, that's what you believe.
Yeah, we do. And the reason why is last night they grew at 82%. And this is just some staggering growth. This price target is based on an 18 multiple, so a massive discount to the current growth. And if we look out 2-3 years, it's still a discount to where they can grow at. So to answer your question is that yes, the numbers are staggeringly big, but keep in mind they'll exit this year with well over $100 a share in cash, too. And so this is some massive amount of cash relative to the market cap.
Gene, a massive amount of cash. You just made reference to this incredible growth. How does Apple keep it going? Where does the next phase of their growth come from? Do they have to keep pushing in China, for example?
Exactly. It's China. It's emerging markets. If you look at their business right now, 40% of the population of the globe really hasn't even been touched by Apple products. And that, I think, is going to be this next growth driver. And really what it comes down to, the reason why a $120 billion company continued to grow at 30% plus is the fact that the markets that they're going after are so big, is that the mobile phone market, for example, is 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion units a year. And they just sold 20 million iPhones, and so there's a massive opportunity there. iPhone's about half of their business, so there's some really big levers that can continue, hard to believe, but continue to keep this growth story going.
Gene, to the point about China and emerging markets, the number that Apple reported in revenue from China, $3.8 billion, more than 10% of their sales, certainly had my eyeballs falling out. Does it take some of the pressure off of Apple to introduce new products as fast as they have in the past if they can tap into these new markets?
You know, it does. It basically creates this opportunity, I guess, to continue to grow. And that's the part that's been surprising, I guess, this past year. I think the China number in particular, we have never predicted that that would have been as high as it is. And what that shows us is the formula that Apple has in the West and in the U.S. and Western Europe is being transformed and is being successful in these emerging markets despite the high prices. And I think that if you look at the price of the iPhone in China, it's $600 to $750. And yet they're still selling, they're up 600% year over year. So I think what really we're learning from the China experiment is despite the fact that they don't have a lot of money, they're willing to pay an awful lot for Apple products.
So it seems like Apple can actually export some of its strength. Gene, what's next for Apple product-wise?
Well, we believe a TV, an actual television, is what's next. It's probably sometime in 2012. We asked the question on the call last night just about their strategy. They were pretty vague about it. But ultimately, that's the one piece that's really missing. They have the tablet, they've got the mobile phone, they have the computer. But really, if you fast forward 5 years from now and look at what's going to really change our lives from a consumer technology standpoint, it's the television, and we think Apple's going to be there.
I was just going to say, Gene, do you really need an Apple TV? I mean, not the Apple TV product, but a TV made by Apple. Is that going to change anything?
I think it will. I think there's still some major problems with television. One, for example, is the remote control, multiple remote controls. You have different verticals within your TV. You have your gaming side, you have your cable side, a lot of times multiple gaming devices, your DVR, and then your internet side of that. And so as you want to kind of compact and make it more systematic in terms of these interfaces, Apple's in a great opportunity to really streamline that. And not only that, but connect your TV to other devices in your home. So I think that this is kind of the last piece to the puzzle, and we expect them to be there.
Gene, very quickly before we go, how come nobody asked about Steve Jobs on the conference call?
I think it's, you know, from an analyst standpoint, we've kind of been there. We've talked about this. I don't think there's a lot new to be said. We've seen Steve Jobs in the last event. We've been aware of his health issues for a long time. We know the company's not going to say anything. So I think it's a combination of we're well aware of what's going on, number one. Tim Cook is clearly the guy to succeed Steve Jobs. And lastly, I think it's kind of a lost question when you only have one or two questions to ask.
Fair point. Gene, always good to see you here on the Inside Track. We thank you very much. Gene Munster, our friend there at Piper Jaffray. Don't forget, he's a Bloomberg Bass.